Hey everybody, welcome back. Craig Shop here with our New York City film critic Bob Garver. Bob is here. We are talking movies. We've had a little bit of a hiatus here during the summer, but we're back at it again. Bob, you have six new movies to talk about today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. So
All right,
good to see
fantastic.
you again.
It's great to see you as always, and I know we'll have you count down from worst to best the movies that you've seen. So I will leave the floor to you.
Okay, well, unfortunately, I have to start off with a rare D.
Okay.
Yes, and that is the newest version of the Naked Gun.
Okay.
This stars Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson as a new version of or as the son of Lieutenant Frank Drebin, played by Leslie Nielsen in the original Naked Gun movies, and Anderson is some sort of femme fatale, and the two of them try to save the world from an evil tech billionaire played by Danny Houston, and they get into all sorts of wacky hijinks along the way. But I didn't care for this one. This one is produced by Seth MacFarlane
Hmm.
from Family Guy, and you can really see where a lot of the humor in this movie seems like a bad episode of Family Guy or one of his
Okay.
shows. A lot of awkward pauses, and a lot of gags where the gag is just something that goes on too long, and the whole thing is just a real whiff.
Okay.
And it's not that there aren't funny people in this movie. Liam Neeson and Pamela Anderson are both very funny. Um, Paul Walter Hauser, an award-winning actor who moonlights as an independent pro wrestler. You know,
Yeah.
this is somebody that I should really, really like, and usually I do. But this is the first time I've seen him, really whiff repeatedly. And even Weird Al Yankovic is in this movie,
Okay.
and it's just crickets from him. And any movie that can make Weird Al Yankovic this unfunny is not for me, and I don't think it should be for anybody else either.
Well, unfortunately to hear, obviously, it's always, comedy is very subjective, but, it's sad to hear that the reboot here, or I guess, I mean, I guess you could kind of say it's a sequel since we are seeing the sons of these men from the Naked Gun movies coming into play. But a rare D from you there, Bob. What's next on your list?
Okay, well, next up is a C. I can't recommend it. It has its moments. It's a another long standing sequel. I Know What You Did Last Summer. This was a big hit while I was when I was a teenager. Or the original movie was a big hit when I was a teenager, and there was some. I was really scared of it for a time
Right.
because of the killer's deadly hook.
Yeah.
But they're doing a legacy sequel, I guess they're calling it these days,
Yeah.
where we catch up with the old characters, the survivors played by Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr., as well as a new group of kids who are responsible for a death. And a year later, they're haunted by somebody who knows that they inadvertently caused the death. Um, this
Okay.
can get pretty silly at times. Doesn't always nail the jump scares. But there are some funny moments, and it is nice to that Hewitt and Prince have some significant roles to play.
Okay. All right. What's next up on your list?
Okay, well now we get into the four movies that I do recommend, and
Okay.
these first three will be B minuses. The first one is The Bad Guys 2,
Okay.
a sequel to a movie from, I believe, 2022 that started with a great extended Pulp Fiction tribute
Yes.
in
Yes.
its opening minutes. This one doesn't have a tribute like that to really cushion the blow, although there is an extended Silence of the Lambs inspired sequence
Okay.
involving the bad guy from the first movie. But mostly it's about they the five members of the bad guys being hooked into participating in a new heist, and they want to sabotage it, but the people that hire them are one step ahead of the sabotage, and it winds up being a plot to steal all the world's gold, which I think is kind of a short-sighted evil plan because they're not going to have anywhere to put the gold, and,
Right.
and I don't think it's that much of a threat anyway. It just seems like people are just losing a lot of gaudy jewelry. It seems like the stakes should be higher than that,
Right.
but it still has its funny moments, and I do recommend the movie overall.
Well, it's good. You mentioned the first movie. I thought was a pleasant surprise. I didn't know really what to expect out of it when I went into it several years ago, but it was really I really enjoyed it. So, did it need a sequel? I don't know, but I'm glad that you liked it. And did you like the first movie? I liked it. I liked it quite a
Oh yeah,
bit.
I love the first movie.
Yeah, good voice cast, good animation. So a fun little surprise when it came out a few years ago. So, what's your next movie?
Okay, next one, Superman. Yep, Superman. Um, we get to meet a new Man of Steel played by David Corenswet,
Mhm.
and he goes up against Lex Luthor played by Nicholas Holt, who has various plans to defeat him just for the sake of defeating him because he represents the ultimate challenge,
Right.
and he's willing to destroy Metropolis and a good chunk of the world to get to Superman. But yeah, just really, really likable leads and some good action.
Yeah, I saw that movie as well, and I liked it a lot too. And I thought there were some really standout moments, especially with Mister Terrific. Eddie Gathegi was fantastic as Mister Terrific. I also really enjoyed Nathan Fillion's Guy Gardner Green Lantern as well. So there were quite a few winning moments in the film, and it does have a nice little heart to it. It seems like a good
Heart's a good word.
restart for the DCU, in a very lighter tone with Superman that we got than the Zack Snyder versions were a lot darker, and I think that this is a nice tonal shift for that character. And you can still have the darkness around Superman, but you're keeping Superman in that sort of wholesome, all-American light. And I thought it was a really nice movie. I thought it was had a lot of fun moments, and like you said, it's just it just works. Good action sequences. I think they let the camera in the frame breathe a little bit more than Zack Snyder's action sequences did in Man of Steel. So I liked it a lot. I was very pleased with the restarting of this DC universe.
Yes, I'm looking forward to seeing more of this James Gunn version of the DCU.
Absolutely. And what's your next movie?
Okay, next one is Weapons.
Okay.
This is a movie I saw just last night. It's the latest from director Zach Kreger, who previously did a movie called Barbarian, but to me will always be known as one of the members of the comedy troupe The Whitest Kids You Know.
Hmm.
Um, this one builds on an early premise of 17 children running away from home and going missing in the middle of the night. Um, and throughout this movie, told from many different perspectives, uh, we slowly but surely learn the truth about why they ran away and where they ran away to. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of good stuff in this movie. Again, we get at least six different perspectives from different characters, like their teacher,
Okay.
one of the parents of the abducted children, and the one child in the classroom that didn't run away. There's a lot of mystery surrounding him, and eventually he does wind up being something of a key in all of this. But I don't want to get too far into spoilers.
Sure.
And there's some other characters involved too, but I guess that you could say that the three main ones are the teacher, the parent, and this this kid that is key to the whole thing.
Okay. All right, and I think you have one more movie left, right?
Yeah, one more, and it gets a B. The last three I'd give B minuses to. This one gets a B. It's my favorite of the past month or so. Fantastic Four: First Steps.
Okay. Yeah, I saw it as well. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Superman, only because I thought Superman had some more sort of those like winning, memorable moments that you're gonna like always think about, maybe compared to Fantastic Four. Although I think one refreshing thing about Fantastic Four was that you didn't feel like you needed to know everything about the Marvel Cinematic Universe to go in and watch it. It was kind of a nice standalone movie and a nice little setup maybe here for things to come in this next phase of Marvel. Overall, what kind of stood out to you that made it your favorite movie here of the last month?
The setting of Earth 828.
Mm,
It's got this awesome 60s version of the future aesthetic,
yeah,
like something you would see at Tomorrowland at Disney World.
yeah.
But yeah, that was fun, and of course, I like the characters. You know, Pedro Pascal. That guy can do no wrong these days. Vanessa Kirby as the Invisible Woman. You know, she's great too. Um, I'll admit it's lighter on action than Superman. So I can understand somebody preferring Superman to this because that one I think has a little more going on than this movie, but this
Yeah.
one has, I think, just a better immersive world.
Yeah, I agree. I did like the sort of the futuristic, nostalgic look of that setting in that version of Earth, and everything works pretty well in it too. For me, it's nothing against it. I just think like I'm going back, but between the two films, and I always think of like the Mr. Terrific interplay with some of the characters, Guy Gardner as well, and I just kind of remember those things a little bit more that stand out. And yeah, Superman might be a little overstuffed, and there were times where it felt like Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor was playing Battleship with Superman as opposed to being a sinister overlord of LexCorp. But yeah, the Fantastic Four is a nice little kickoff, and I think they succeeded in making a nice little breezy entertainment. It doesn't last 2.5 hours like a lot of these Marvel movies have lately, and it just kind of gets there and tells a quick story. And I will say too that I really liked what this characterization of Johnny Storm. I think in the previous movies we've seen, Johnny Storm is not necessarily the Michael B. Jordan movie, but in the Chris Evans Johnny Storm, he was kind of more of a jerk than arrogant. He was more mean spirited, and I think Joseph Quinn kind of brings a little bit more seriousness.
Likability. Oh,
Yeah,
sorry. Go ahead.
no, yeah, you're right. He's more likable in this Johnny Storm role. Like, yeah, he can have fun and joke around because he's sort of the young man of the group, but his character feels like he's not there for just comic relief as opposed to like he's trying to figure out this bridge of this gap between the Silver Surfer and themselves. And there's more for him to do than I think the Chris Evans role was, where it was just like, hey, we don't know what to do with you. Hey, make fun of the Thing for a few minutes, or make fun of this, or make fun of that, or bring a little levity to a situation. But in this case, I think they kind of nail it a little bit more for me and make it a likable character, like you said.
I never saw the Chris Evans version, at least outside of the Deadpool and Wolverine last year.
Okay, yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I know what this character can deliver, and if you say he's a big step up, then I completely
I
believe
think
you.
so. Yeah, and I don't think you're missing much with the Tim Story Fantastic Four. But I guess if you want to complete the filmography of Fantastic Four movies, you might as well go see them. But yeah, I mean, this is a nice little laying the groundwork for the Fantastic Four. Now the box office has kind of been a little strange for the Fantastic Four. Had a big second week drop off, and it's unclear what the future will hold for these characters outside of being in the Avengers, the next two Avengers movies. But it's been a while since the Fantastic Four has been sort of delivered in a good way by Marvel, at least cinematically, and it's good to see that they've made a good, solid, Fantastic Four movie when a lot of people thought maybe it just wasn't possible after the three previous released movies, and then of course the 1994 movie that was never released. So it's good to see that Fantastic Four has made their way to the big screen. And like you said, a lot of these characters are likable. Vanessa Kirby is very good, and as expected. And I think there's a lot to like, and hopefully a lot to hope for moving forward in this new sort of phase of the cinematic universe.
Yep, and I'd also like to note that if you're not familiar with the MCU, this would be a good entry point.
I think so too. I do. You don't have to know everybody's. They're not really intermingling with a lot of things. I mean, obviously there's a post-credit scene or mid-credit scene that's going to set some things up for the future. But like you said, I think you can use this as a jumping off point. And from the MCU's timeline, it kind of fits like in between Captain America and Captain Marvel, I would say, and sort of the cinematic timeline that they've developed here with, Captain America starting in World War II and then the Captain Marvel being in like the mid 90s. So it's kind of like an in-between point, but it's nice that you can kind of jump into this without having all the knowledge in the world of the cinematic universe or even really the Fantastic Four, because they don't give you like a 25-minute exposition of what the Fantastic Four is. They give you kind of like this newsreel-y, documentary almost interview, like a sort of a quick little, this is who the Fantastic Four is, this is what happened to them. So I think it's really well done, and it didn't need to be a 2 hour and 25-minute movie. It comes in at like an hour and 50 or hour and 55 minutes. So it's really well crafted, and like you said, it has a nice little nostalgic look to it, and I liked how they portrayed that.
Yes, both this and Superman start with the characters already being established as superheroes,
right?
In their respective worlds.
And I liked how they did that with Superman. There were some discussions that Superman actually takes place in like a week, so it's like a week in the life of Superman. They didn't really hit on that so much, but it's interesting how they kind of developed this. We're going to put you right into it because you probably know the lore of Superman. You've probably seen previous Superman movies. We don't need to beat that to death on how he came here. And I think it was refreshing that, if we're going to get a lot of these reboots and retellings and, restarts of franchises, that we don't always need a start from the beginning origin story on these people, because we've seen it all before. And if you're a casual fan that's going to the movie, you probably know Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, a lot of these people's lores and backstories, that you really just don't have to have that extra 15, 25 minutes. Or in the case of the Fantastic Four, they do it in a really kind of zippy way where it's not taking all this extra time to kind of inform you of who these people are.
Yeah.
Well done, sir. Well, what do you have coming up on the docket for next week?
Well, Freakier Friday will be a movie that probably wins the box office this weekend. Then there's Nobody 2, a sequel to the Bob Odenkirk movie from, I believe, either 2021 or 2022. And after that, just some disposable August stuff. But there could be some gems in there. Yeah, I remember 2016. There were a lot of really good movies released in August.
Well, we have Spike Lee, Highest to Lowest, coming out this month. Darren Aronofsky has a new movie as well at the end of the month. So,
which one's from Aronofsky?
Caught Stealing with Austin Butler.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I wait. That seems to be kind of out of his wheelhouse, right?
It does, but it kind of intrigues me a little bit, maybe to a degree, because I mean, I don't know if I want like him to, make the studio movies, because that's not kind of his thing. But I'm intrigued. I mean, I like Austin Butler and I like Aronofsky, so I'm kind of intrigued to see how he melds maybe a little bit more of a conventional thriller type movie into his sensibilities. But I mean, Aronofsky is kind of one of those directors. When he hits really big. Requiem for a Dream, The Wrestler, Black Swan. he really, I don't know if that his last movie, The Whale, was super effective, but I
Well, it
feel
won Brendan Fraser an Oscar.
it did, and I'm glad that it did, but I don't think the movie really worked. And I think it was not necessarily, I wouldn't say beneath Aronofsky's talent, but it was kind of like I don't know, Aronofsky's got this like gritty kind of like kinetic filmmaking style that maybe might lend itself better to like Caught Stealing as opposed to The Whale, which I don't know if it was adapted from a stage play or if it was written as a stage play. And
It definitely came off like a stage play.
yeah, and it just seemed like it was, it kind of had the grunginess in a way for Aronofsky because Fraser was a obese man who was kind of homebound, and it was kind of dirty, filthy kind of stuff. But I don't know, he's kind of always had this like really kinetic energy about his filmmaking where it's just like everything's moving forward instead of being stagnant in like one little room or whatever. So I'm excited about Caught Stealing. I know it's an August release, so you just never really know what to expect if the studio really thinks it's got anything on their hands there, whether it's a box office success or, a potential awards darling. But, like I said, Aronofsky, when he hits big. And of course, you might have a little bit of bias there being a former star of an Aronofsky movie, huh?
Mickey Rourke came up in a conversation recently. I referred to him as my co-star in the
Your
wrestling.
co-star, yes, yeah. Bob, if you don't know, for those of you who don't know, Bob made a special appearance in The Wrestler as a fan at one of his independent shows. So, maybe you should follow Aronofsky's work schedule. You can be an extra in one of his next movies.
If the opportunity comes along, I'd be happy to.
All right, fantastic. Well, Bob, as always, we appreciate you stopping by. We hope you have fun at the movies this weekend, and we will talk again real soon.
All right. Thank you very much. This is the highlight of my week.